Hi guys, welcome back. This is part 4 of our factoring series. Today we'll be talking about factoring cubic functions or cubic polynomials. Be sure to also go watch parts 1 to 3 where we discuss all the other types of factorization problems that we can deal with. Please hit the subscribe button and also the notification bell so that you are always up to date on when a new part of the series is released. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask in the comment section. Thank you. If you have been following along in the series, you will be noticed that this is the first time that we have 4 terms to work with. So how do we factorize when there's 4 terms? As I said in the beginning in part 1, the most important thing to remember is always the highest common factor. In factorization, you always look for something common to take out. But in this instance, you can't take out something from all 4 terms. So what do? This we do by grouping. So we will say this is a group, and then we will say this is a group. So we look at the 2 terms like this. Now, let's start with this one. 3x to the power of 3 plus 2x squared. What is the common factor that we can take out? We can take out an x, but an x to the power of 2. Now all that is left is to see what stays behind. The 3 stays behind, and also an x. Why? Because there is a 3. So 2 plus 1, remember you don't need to put the 1, I'm just putting it there to show you. 2 plus 1 is 3, and therefore an x stays over. Plus, the 2 stays, but now here it is squared, and we took out a square. So there's no x that stays over. Close the bracket. Next term, plus, what can we take out now? We can take out a 2. 2 is a common factor of 6 and 4. What is left? 3, the x is left, plus 2. If you have done the sum correctly, you will notice that your brackets will be exactly the same. If they are not, it means that maybe the way in which you took out the common factor was wrong. So maybe you should have taken the 3x squared and the 6x and grouped that together, and then the 2x squared and the 4. That is just an example. So not always will they be in the correct order to take out the common factor. But for now, we will just do sums that they are in the correct order, just to show you how grouping works. Okay. Now, the next rule, what do we always do? We take out a common factor. In this one, we have our groups. Let me just highlight for you. They are common factors. So the whole bracket in this instance is a common factor. So we are going to take that out. 3x plus 2. And now you will see we're gonna check what is left. So the x squared is left. We took out the whole bracket plus 2 because we also took out the whole bracket. And now it is completely factorized. Let's look at the next example. Here we also have 4 terms, but a difference is that we have a negative and a negative. But it is not so much different, we still do the grouping. Okay, what is a common factor that we can take out? We can take out the 2 and an x squared. What is left? Okay, we took out the 2, so there's only an x left, because x squared times x gives you x to the power of 3. Plus, you will notice the sign is a plus, so you would not change it, it would just stay a plus. It makes it easier. Okay, we took out the 2, so there's left a 4, and we took out the whole x squared, so that is what left. Now, because we have a positive inside, we need a positive in our next bracket. So we would need to take out a negative. And in most cases, you would, if there's a negative, you would take out the negative as well. Obviously, there are differences, but I will say mostly. So we're going to take out a 3. Then the common factor between 3 and 12 is 3. We can't take out an x. Why? Because the 12 has no x. So it's not a common factor, so we just have to leave the x. Okay, so now, because we took out a negative 3, all that is left is an x. Because when you times it back in, it has to be negative 3x. And negative 3 times x gives you negative 3. So that is true. Now, you can't put a negative. Why? Because negative 3 times negative, and it would be 4, would give you positive 12. So remember, if you take out a negative, you always have to put a positive in the bracket. So it would be a positive. And we close our bracket. And you will see we now have the two brackets that are exactly the same. And that is important because that now becomes our common factor. So in between here is our common factor, which is the bracket. Now we can take it out. We take out the x plus 4. Now remember, it is already taken out, so it cannot be written again. So all that you have to look is what stays behind. The 2x squared stayed behind and the negative 3. So this bracket has a 2x squared. And here is the minus 3. And there it is factorized. Please remember that you should always check for something to take out. So if there's a common factor in your answer, say here you had a common factor. So say there was a 6, then you could have taken out the 2. I will do an example of that in the next section. So always check your answer if there's not another common factor that you could also take out at the end. Let's get ready to do another example. Okay, what is the common factor that we can take out? We can take out a 4 and we can take out an x squared. What is left? We have left an x minus, because we did not take out a minus, the minus stays. We took out a 4, so there's left a 2, and the x squared was taken out, so that is all that is left. Plus, we take out a 6, and then it's left an x minus 2. If you had a positive in the brackets and you needed a positive here, then you would have taken out a negative. So it depends on what you had in your first bracket. It will determine if you take out a positive or a negative to get the exact same brackets. That is your ultimate goal. Now you will see that we have the two brackets that are exactly the same. So that would be our common factor, which we are taking out again. So we'll take out the x minus 2. And we are left with 4x squared plus 6. Now is the important part. Remember, I told you always look for a common factor. And you will see that this is factorized, but in this instance, there is still a common factor between 4 and 6, which is 2. So that still needs to be taken out. So your first bracket stays. And then you need to take out your common 2. Then we are left with 2x squared plus 3. And now only it is fully factorized. For this next example, it is very important that you first go watch part 2 of my factoring series, because there I go into depth about how to complete the square when factoring. So you will see in this sum that we are going to actually complete the square as well. So if you have not done that yet, please go do that first. Okay. So the first rule is, what can I take out? What is a common factor? So we can take out an x squared. What do we have left? We have left an x plus we have left a 2. Now, you will see that we have a negative and a negative, but we need a positive. So here we have a positive. So it is very important that we take out a negative. So we take out the negative, and we can take out a 16 as that is a common factor in both 16 and 32. What do we have left? We have left an x, and because we took out a negative, we need a positive, because when we times it back in to check, we have to have a negative as an answer. So negative 16 times a positive will give you a negative. That is why it is important that we put a positive. And we will be left with 2. Now we'll see we have the exact same brackets again, which is our common factor. So let's take that out, x plus 2. And we are left with x squared minus 16. Now, you will think you are finished, but you are not. So the first rule would be, can I take a common factor out? No, there is nothing common to take out. But the second rule is, can it be factorized further? Yes, in this instance, x squared minus 16 can be, because it is a perfect square. So the x plus 2 stays. But this one can be factorized into x minus 4, x plus 4. And that is called the difference of squares, and that is in part 2 of my series. I dealt with that. And now only it is factorized completely. Thanks guys, I hope you enjoyed this part of my series. Be sure to hit the bell so that you are notified when part 5 comes out, and be sure to check out all the parts so that you are up to date on all the factorings, all the methods you can use while factoring.